Okay, welcome back to the Permission to Play podcast, the podcast about all things creative examined by creative minds. And we are your hosts, myself, Christina Barcy. I am an actor, writer, producer, and creativity coach.
Yeah. This is Lloyd Roberson coming at you. You know who it is. BRB.
Oh my God.
Always.
And I'm Kyle Delatorre. I'm a singer-songwriter and vocal coach.
Yeah, I'm Yelpy, and I'm just a singer-songwriter.
Don't say just.
Not a vocal coach.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so
well, it looks like Kyle's got your beat, sucker. Who's better than who? Kyle's better than you.
This is not the comparison episode, but we will be talking about resistance and rebellion. Okay. Topics are resistance and rebellion, and possibly procrastination and perfectionism. But first, before we jump into that, I do want to ask everybody how they're feeling, and if you could describe how you're feeling if you were an animal. How would that? What would that be? What animal would represent how you're feeling?
Word. First off, I would like to say I do want to talk about how Kyle is better than Yelpy.
Oh my goodness!
That's the real topic of discussion here.
No, Yelpy wins. He wins every time. He wins in looks, talent, just accent.
Oh my God!
Character.
You. Well, if I was going to be an animal in this moment in time, I'd be a peacock. I'm feeling very humble right now. I'd be
right.
a peacock. I'd only flourish my feathers in times of peace, in times of indifference. Yeah.
Right.
I'd be a little baby duck.
No.
A little yellow baby duck.
Are you feeling infantile today?
Yeah.
I just had a shower, so I feel clean like a little baby duck.
Oh my God, that's the cutest fucking thing I've ever heard.
Oh my God, I felt that. Like I felt that energy of just the baby duck. I feel it.
There used to be this English advert on TV, and it was just these kids describing how soft their mother's clothes were, and one kid just says, "Little baby ducks, what a yellow."
No.
I always think of that.
That's so cute.
Okay, well, if I was an animal right now, probably today, I feel like I'd be a squirrel. I'm more like, just like, did I leave the stove on? Like, is the coffee maker going? Like, what am I doing? Where am I going? Look at that! Like, I'm feeling a little bit like a squirrel.
Getting chased by the dogs.
Nice.
I see you, squirrel on the fence.
That's so funny.
Think about that element. I'd be more confused about what the dogs were. Running away. I'd just be like, what? Happening? Hey, neighbor.
There's a squirrel in my yard who likes to tease my dog. And squirrels are known for teasing animals and pets because they're fast and they can get up on trees a lot faster than dogs. Or if a dog can climb a tree, I mean, that's a very special dog. But I like that. You're feeling. I feel like there was a squirrel who tried to come in my house the other day, and that might have been you. And a little squirrel body trying to jump into people's houses and cause a ruckus.
Oh boy.
They're always after me nuts.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Honestly, like, I mean, if a squirrel comes into your house, what do you do?
I guess you just love it.
Do you?
I'm so confused. I'd be like, hey, man, good job. But, like, this is
y'all over here lying, faking the funk. You know, you'd be freaking the fuck out.
I would be so excited.
No, you wouldn't, man.
I would
it's like
be
a
like,
bird coming in your house. You don't know what to do, man.
I think
a gray squirrel or a red squirrel?
I'd be worried about my kitty cat.
Yeah, exactly. Your cat will probably eat that squirrel up, though.
He'd probably be real excited. Oh my god, a friend. I think it's funny because I asked this question. I have no idea what my answer would be, but I think a mouse because I feel a little bit like life's prey today.
What?
I would kill you. I hate mice.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I do.
A little baby
Dude,
mice.
what's wrong with you? Haven't you ever seen Disney movies? All the mice are like...
Until they come in your house and shit in a corner and like ruin everything and like smell your house up with rat pee and...
Look,
you guys ever had...
Mouse,
That's
not
a
rat.
rat.
Thank you.
Okay. Mice are the same. Actually, I don't know much about mice.
All
I only
right,
had to do
so...
with rats.
Tiny.
Shut it.
Wait, so you... Yeah, I still think rats and mice are the same thing.
Well, you're wrong.
Are they? Can you tell me the differences between the two?
One is giant, and that's the main difference. The other one is small.
I feel like one's got more of like a mission in life, and the other one's just like,
Wait, which one?
I'm here for the ride or for testing.
Well, which one is that?
Oh, well, rat's testing, I guess.
No. Mice are testing. Rat is like,
But they
I'm on a
test them.
mission. I'm a fucking rat king. Like I got something to do. I got shit to tear up.
You've watched a lot of 90s cartoons, I think.
Yeah, you have.
No.
There's rat kings.
Yeah, they were all rat kings. They were all terrifying.
Oh, rat kings.
I kind of like this twist on my emotion, though, in being kingly over being prey. So
Did you say rat kings?
Yes.
So
What?
when I was young, there was this English band, and they were called, I don't know what they were called. They were like death metal, and they had a song called Rat King, and the guy just sounded like he was talking into like eating a sandwich into the microphone. That's what it sounded like.
oh my god.
And
There's
then he would
actually
stop.
There's a couple of songs out there called Rat King. I wonder if it's the same song.
It's just that you just can't listen through it the whole way, so you keep picking it up.
Oh my god. Sounds like a classic.
Sounds like a classic.
Hey guys, Rat King is where it's at. I would love to do an open mic and just be like, I'm gonna sing Rat King now.
How would that song go?
Version 1 or version 4?
How would
Like,
what would the first verse of Rat King be?
You just have to eat a sandwich.
Yeah.
Probably something about like, hey man, fuck you. I'm a fucking Rat King and you're not. And then it would really have to build.
Yeah, it would after that. Yeah.
We'd be the backing singers. We could be, she's a Rat King.
Rat King, baby.
Rat King, baby.
And like really maybe syncopate like rat, rat, rat.
That's exactly.
And then
That's not the worst song I've written, by the way.
Amazing.
And that song is also available on iTunes. Check the link below.
Yeah, it's gonna be in the show notes. The Rat King link.
Link in bio. Rat King.
Yeah. Nice. Great guys. So
Choice, Christina. Interesting choice.
I just I don't know.
Is there a reason why you feel that way today?
Yeah, my car broke down over the weekend. So
What?
I spent all day trying to figure that out, and yeah, just but see, the other thing I think is rats are real resilient, or I said mice, same thing. So I feel like I know, right? I totally just subscribe to my own. Yeah, see, this just proves I like to argue for no reason. I just like to be on the opposing side, just to fuck with everyone. Who knows what I really believe? Who knows? I feel like I handled it. I feel like some shit happened, and I took care of it. And so, life goes on for this mouse.
Well,
Or
I
rat.
would consider you a rat king for dealing with car issues and getting them done. Because
Yeah.
there's nothing like going to a mechanic and them listing off all the things you thought weren't wrong with their car, and then getting that bill in the end, and you're like, well,
Oh my
what the fuck?
God.
I thought I just needed a battery.
Yeah, it's not to. I don't want to dwell on this, but I was on the way to my friend's wedding, and it broke down like 5 times on the way there. But I was so determined to get there because I was like, I'm not going to miss this once in a lifetime moment. She got married in court, so it's like an hour. So you miss it, and I made it. I just parked as soon as I could and walked the rest.
You truly are a rat king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way to do it.
Thanks, man.
That's how rats do. Rat queen. Yeah, I thought all rats were kings. All of them.
No, I'm a mouse, so I'll be a mouse queen.
Mouse king.
Mouse queen.
Mouse queen.
Mouse queen.
It's a great name for a band. Mouse
Yeah.
queen.
Mouse queen.
That's my new punk rock band, guys.
Solid
Awesome.
band name.
Mouse queen.
Mouse queen.
And the first song will be "Fuck This Car."
Fuck
this car! Fuck this car! Fuck this car! Fuck this car!
This car.
Rat Queen's new album coming at you in October. Look
That's
for
it,
it.
like,
Check it out.
It's like 1, 2, 3. Fuck this car. Fuck this car. Fuck this car. Rat queen.
Done.
Perfect.
Totally done. Thanks, Yelpy, for that.
Drop the
We're gonna
mic.
talk about.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great music video.
Be amazing.
So I'm going to resist talking about this any further and jump into our topic, which is resistance and rebellion.
Resistance.
I will say, okay, I'll start just because the funny thing is I wrote that down and then I was like, oh yeah, I have this cool book. I don't know if you guys have ever read The War of Art. Have you guys read that? And I literally
I've never read a book.
All right. So you should go visit Lloyd with the giant bookshelf behind his head.
It's got enough.
We'll also put a link to that book
Yeah.
in the bio, so check it out.
Yeah.
Pretty much 2 of those books are encyclopedias, like
Yes.
E and F. And then the rest are
You're
just
so right.
They're cardboard
you know, those
boxes.
are all Amy's. They're all just freaking law journals back there.
Yeah,
know
except
that's-
for all the plays.
Yeah,
And then all
okay.
the other
Okay, that
ones.
tiny part up top is Lloyd's shelf.
Oh, you want to see our big library? We got a giant one.
I believe you. It's called the
I
library
keep
up the
books.
street.
Unfortunately, they're really hard to move.
They are. I have a ton of books, so I feel you. Speaking of this one, so
yes.
the funny thing is I was like, oh yeah, this book. I wonder if there's anything interesting in here that I could add into tonight's discussion. And I opened it up to literally this page of "Resistance is Universal." How crazy is that? And it's so I'll read it. It's just it's 2 sentences. It says, "We're wrong if we think we're the only ones struggling with resistance. Everyone who has a body experiences resistance." And I was like, that's so cool. And it's a whole sort of chapter on resistance. Resistance is internal. Resistance is implacable. Resistance is impersonal, infallible, universal, never sleeps, plays for keeps. Cute. It just goes on for a bit, but I thought that was really cool. And
Very
it's
interesting.
true because a lot of what I do deals with normalizing and teaching people that the things you're feeling are most likely felt by not only other artists, but probably a lot of other people on this planet. And it's part of the process. It's part of, the system of doing things, of living life, of just doing stuff. And I find this topic interesting because artists are naturally resistant and rebellious. It's part of what makes us who we are, just generally. So we battle with that, but it's normal. I thought that was a cool little page I flipped to today.
Very cool.
Any thoughts?
Well, I think that was really interesting that you went to that book. I really enjoy that book.
Mm-hmm.
It's helped me a lot dealing with resistance towards moving forward.
Like, Lloyd, what do you think specifically right now you're going through with with resistance? Can you identify just something specific or even vague?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Which I can actually talk about successes in this moment. And one of the successes that I've been having recently is with resisting getting in my own way has been letting things go, regardless of if I think they're ready or not. And that means content. That means being argumentative. Relationships, things that I find that I've gained a habit for, which aren't fruitful for my growth. I've learned how to break away with all of that. And so that's been a really cool revelation for me. And it's a good process. It hurts and it feels weird because as an artist, when I put out content, I always, it's that judgmental thing of, was this the best that I possibly could do? But sometimes it's not about that, and I have to realize that. And I had to realize that, and I'm realizing it and working from that place at this moment.
Awesome. Would you say that that's connected to, because I brought up perfectionism as well, just sort of our standards for our work and what we're willing to put out there? Like you're saying, you kind of broke away from
perfectionism. Yeah, like we were talking about before, perfectionism, how perfectionism can get in the way of good, or how perfectionism can get in the way of putting anything out and hold you. And nothing's ever going to be perfect, ever. There's no such thing as anything perfect, and it gets in the way of excellence.
It does.
Perfection completely gets in the way of excellence. And it gets in the way of good, and good leads to excellence, because once you start you're never going to be the best at something when you first start. And so you have to be good at some point. Well, first off, you have to be bad, and then eventually you can move into good, which moves into excellence. But you'll never get there if all you want is perfection.
Yes. Oh, so well said. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, I agree with that. And actually, weren't we just having a conversation about this during the week? A real quick conversation about that. But for the longest time, that's exactly how I view it. I've never been a subscriber to the whole, I want to be the best. It's just that does not appeal to me, because I think that's a thing that's not real. Like, best is subjective, perfection is subjective, and they're not tangible goals. And I don't think you should. I think you need to put work into something and then call it a day when it's done, and not not dwell on it for too much. Yeah, I'd agree with what Lloyd just said there, 100%.
Yeah.
I agree with both of you guys about not wanting to be the best, because what is that? And even if you get there, I mean, it's not going to last, and there's always going to be somebody better than you. But what I kind of, I don't know if I disagree. Maybe it's just a communication thing. But I think that in order to push yourself from that good to excellent or excellent to great, is trying to get to that place of perfect, trying to push yourself on, like, well, how can I make this better? And if this is already great, can I make it even better than that? I think continuously trying to push yourself there and push your limitations can make you a better artist, per se, because again, it's a craft at the end of the day. But you can also drive yourself mad doing that, and you can end up ruining your own art if you try to go crazy. So,
That's so funny. I find that, like, I agree with you on the point that it will drive you crazy. And I find that some of my most favorite artists, the work I like the most about them is when they were doing good, solid work and putting it out and just being themselves. And there's always this moment when people try, so, like, they get to a point where they feel like they have to put out the next best thing and top themselves, and it never works, and they always fail, and they don't put out anything. And I mean, I was watching Dr. Dre was talking about this, how, like, everybody was waiting for his album for so long, and he just couldn't get past perfection because he held himself to his own standard of excellence. Mm-hmm. And he pushed himself to be perfect and to top himself, and it never panned out because nothing was ever good enough.
Here's something that, speaking of rappers, this is my issue with Kanye, is he has that idea of such a unachievable standard for himself that he hinders his creation sometimes. Like, my friend went to his concert, and he got there, he went on stage, did a false start, and then decided to just announce to the audience that whatever he's going to do today is not going to be good enough. And he walked off stage and did not perform.
Interesting.
And that makes fucking perfect sense to me, because his type of crazy is that type of crazy you were talking about, Kyle, from my perspective, from what I know. I've seen him perform. He did a great job, but he puts out good work. He's interesting. He's prolific. He pushes the edge a little bit. Not my favorite artist, but I respect what he's trying to do. But I do think that he could benefit from letting go of this idea of...
That's so stupid, though. The whole idea is above all else, the show must go on.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of professionalism, but
but because he's so in his head, he's so, Kanye's in Kanye's head all the time. Right? Kanye loves Kanye, but it's because Kanye fucking hates Kanye. Do you know what I'm saying? And my opinion.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
At what point do you start? At what point does that turn into self-hatred? When do you stop caring about yourself?
I think it's a lot simpler than we make it, and I think for us it needs to be a really basic thing. You need to know yourself, right? Right. So you need to, and it's really hard. And you need to know yourself, and then when you know yourself, you'll know when you achieve the best you can put out, because you know yourself.
Mm-hmm. I think it gets confusing for people when they're trying to grow and push themselves, which we probably all are all the time. But that idea that it turns into pressure for people, and you're right, it's hard. I think it turns into a pressure place of, how do I keep, if I think, let's say for the Kanye example, if I think I'm the best, how do I top the best, which is myself? How do I do that? And I think that if you set yourself up for that, you're kind of setting yourself up to really struggle with the process, And I think it's better to, I don't remember who I was talking to bring up another musical example, when they were saying in the 60s, like the Beatles, for example, would just you'd throw out an album, constantly throwing out a new album. Like, it was just, maybe it was you, Yelpy, that I was talking to about music being produced. I don't know. I feel like it was maybe one of our car conversations of music just being produced on a regular basis. Artists would just put music out because that's what they did. And now, you almost have the differential between performers and studio artists. And a lot of times people get stuck in needing to create the perfect album. And so there'll be years between one album and the next. And
Beck kind of did that with his album that he just released. It took him, I think, 10 years to release it. Now, the album is fucking great. Nailed.
I love all of his albums, though.
Yeah, super, super solid. But because he really wanted to, he tinkered around, and he, a part of me really respects that. Somebody who's like, no, it's not right. It's just not right. I know what it's supposed to be, and it's just not there. But I completely appreciate the, it's never going to be perfect. So I think it takes a good community around you to tap you and be like, hey, buddy,
time.
You need to get out of your house and maybe just release this, because it's fine. It's good. You're okay. That maybe, maybe for other people, it's much easier to kind of be like, this is then, but I know maybe it's just myself in particular, to have a community of people I trust that I think that know what they're doing, and I respect, tell me this is
Yeah,
fine.
this is it, right? Yeah.
Right.
And that's important to have a community around you. I mean, that's the basis of art, right? Is to unify. And so
And
when
elevate.
you can, I feel like when you have a really good community around you, that's when you can produce from yourself the best art you can possibly create. But it does, and I don't know if, I personally don't believe art comes from just yourself. I think it comes from the community around you. And so for me, I think with that situation, if that was the case with Beck, I think maybe he does. I feel like he would have a great community of people around him that he trusts, respects, and loves to help push him, but then also to help relieve him of the pressure. But I don't know him. I know that for me, something like that is vital. And I search for people that can provide that.
That's why I think a band is a great thing. Like, I mean, if you have a band of like 4 people, you've got like 4 people all coming together to make a song and then an album, and it's like, and then they all check each other. Like when I was in a band, it's the one thing I miss actually. When I was in a band, we used to check ourselves. You know what I mean? Like you would start, like I actually personally I would start a song, and then I would really only write the verse and chorus, and then give it to the band, and we would just like
let it go.
Have it out like that, and it would be perfect at the end. It would be like that's perfect, and it was bigger than my vision. You know what I mean? That's one thing I do miss.
Yeah, that is what I love about collaborative art. And I think that's what I loved about theater, is you really felt like you were building it together. Film felt a little more distinct to me, or maybe what's the word I'm looking for? You know what I mean? Not as connected as a community.
Homogenous?
Sure, that's a good word. And it's what I loved about when I first got into podcasting, is that I got to, I didn't do every single role. I did do a lot of stuff, but it was nice to, I didn't really know the voice of the show until I handed it over to, other creators, and I got to see what they did with it. And then I got to kind of, use those resources, and it really shaped the way I wrote. It really shaped the way the story evolved. And there's a collaboration there that was just irreplaceable. And I love, the idea of this, like what we're doing right now, is being a collaborative way of sort of working through this kind of stuff and creating a community, not only for us, but for other artists and other people who are curious about how all this stuff works. So yeah, community is huge. Yeah. Hey, roundtable guys.
Yeah.
Since we're talking a little bit about projects, what is there a favorite project that you've worked on in your life so far?
Oh man. Oh, that's so hard.
That's like saying your favorite child or something.
Oh, I know, right? Oh man.
Okay, first one that comes to mind.
Project?
Yeah.
I did. I was lucky enough to do. I was lucky enough to do a show, a Susical, with just some, like, everyone was just professional and top fucking notch. I mean, it was like, I've never had a show experience like that, where you literally just went up and you just played. I felt like we never rehearsed. I felt like every show was just, everybody was so in there, and just in awe of everybody. I mean, everybody. There's Colleen Ballinger, who she's Miranda Sings. Have you guys ever heard Miranda Sings?
I'm not
She's
sure.
big on YouTube. You might know her if you saw her, but she was in the chorus, and she was like, even then, she was phenomenal. Like, the girl's phenomenal. She should have been a lead. But anyways, that experience, the cast was really tight, and it was that theater magic that, like, you just can't touch. Like, you just can't get anywhere else but live theater. That's probably my favorite project.
I would say, if we're in the celebration of fun, and it's fun, this is the key word of fun. A project I worked on was building a game to play, and we called it Boo Boo in the Hole. And it was the funnest game in the world. This is during my graduate school days, and our job was to, it was in celebration of play, and our job was to create a game, a group game that you can play and be competitive and have a good time. And sitting around with a group of people trying to think of a fun game was one of the funnest things I've ever done. And we got to play tons of other games that people created, but Boo Boo in the Hole was...
What was the point of the game? Was it to get Boo Boo in the hole?
No, it was a competitive game. It was fighting wheelbarrow. So you get somebody, there's 4 people, there's 2 people on a team, and somebody holds up the other person's legs.
Yeah.
Same thing on the other team. And the object of the game was to knock the other person off their 2 arms onto the floor and put them on their back. And so...
God, this sounds like a liability game.
No, it sure was. It was tough.
Sounds more dangerous than Twister.
Listen, it's hard out here.
Oh my God.
What do you got? You gotta let yourself in the music, the moment.
That's so
better
funny.
never let it go.
You only get one shot.
Yeah.
Do not miss your chance to...
Yeah, because winning Boo Boo is a chance of a lifetime.
Creating Boo Boo seems to be a chance of a lifetime.
Creating Boo Boo in the Hole was really fun.
That's so fun.
That was good. That was good, Lloyd.
That was good.
Nailed it.
Yelpy.
I don't know. I think there was a period there where I was doing it. I was in my old band in Ireland. We were doing a bunch of gigs around the country. So we were doing loads of gigs, and so every night we'd go and play like a 2-hour set, till 2 a.m. And that was so much fun. We just did some crazy shit. I particularly remember one gig where I had this tendency to forget the lyrics of my songs, and so one gig I just completely blanked, and instead of covering it up, I literally just took off my guitar and I put it down, and the guitarist beside me, I kicked him in the arse, and I jumped off the stage, and I ran. It was 1,000 people, and I ran around the people in the crowd, ran around to the back of the thing, and as I was running, the reaction of the other guitarist, he just kind of looks around, and then he takes off his guitar and starts chasing me.
Oh my God.
The bass guitarist and the drummer just
what is going on?
And they just keep playing, and we make a whole lap of the whole gig and come back.
Nice.
By the time we get to the stage, we just put back on our guitars, and I remember the lyrics.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Good. Nice, dude. Nice.
I love that save. That's hilarious. That's what I'll do the next time I forget my lines. Just run in a fucking circle.
Well, first you got to kick somebody in the arse. And then
Yeah.
Important.
Yeah. Get someone to chase you.
It's all about the arse kicking. Which butt cheek you pick.
That's so funny.
What about you, Barcy? What's your favorite project?
Oh,
This one better be.
yeah. Oh, this one, you guys.
That time when you met that guy Yelpy in Film Quest, and you hung out for 10 days doing absolutely nothing. Was that your best?
That was a great project.
Social experiment.
Me getting to know the kid in the corner. Yeah. That was fun. But connected to that experience, I guess I have to say that project I just talked about, which is my podcast Dimension, and the film, which is connected to it. I feel like they're 2 different things, but they're really not. So everything that went into that, and it's still going in terms of, I have plans for it still. So it's such a big part of who I am now in my life and where I want it to go. And it's just shaping.
What about when you performed it live?
Yeah, that was
because I was
fun.
at that. That was awesome.
You were at that, yeah. Thank you. Lloyd was at that too, filming it, which I still need the footage for that.
I didn't see you. You weren't there.
Come on over to my place. I got some footage for you, girl.
Yeah, it's funny because the film director, or the film festival director, Jonathan, has just been releasing all the photos from that, literally, today and yesterday, last couple days. So it's funny to see it. But yeah, that was really great. It was something I wanted to do for a long time, is perform a piece of the podcast live. And we were able to do it and run, and creating the tech for it was awesome. Having people come out and perform with me after all these years. It's been a few years since we've performed. It was special. And then just watching the whole thing come together was really special. And we did it for 2 years every week. Wow. And it was amazing. Lloyd was a part of it. He played a character.
Did.
In a side story kind of episode. Well, I think 2 episodes. Yeah. But yeah, it was, and I'm rewriting the pilot, so I get to still live in the world in my head a little bit.
That's so cool.
As I go through the process again, it's really fun to kind of, just to bring this back to what we were talking about, because I wanted to say this earlier with Beck. You brought up a project that took him 10 years, but I wanted to say, he already had such a big body of work. I feel like that. I mean, I don't know. This is speculation, but it could be that this was like the project that he's been working on, off and on for 10 years, that he's like, this is my culmination of the perfect project while I, produce these other works. And
maybe,
I have projects like that for sure. And if I counted the years, they would amount to a lot, but I don't know that I'm focused on it in a way that I'm like, it's just not perfect. It's just that the process for that project is different than my general, day-to-day sort of creative process. So I kind of wanted to touch on that because, taking a long time isn't necessarily bad. There's no good or bad. I think it just becomes dangerous when you have these expectations that are unattainable. And that's when it becomes sort of tricky in how to approach that, how to barometer that. How do you, sometimes it gets away from us. So we have to kind of find the ground again.
So I want to talk about, I know we talked a little bit about resilience. I wanted to talk a little bit about rebellion, and how that pertains to art and rebellion, for me, are synonymous with each other. Like I was saying earlier, I believe art is unity, and unifying. And I think the same thing is to be said about rebellion. It's a unifying cause for power, beauty, it's the intangibles of life that we can't necessarily describe in words. So for art, what we do is we try to paint pictures of these things that aren't necessarily in reality or in existence. And so with rebellion in art, I've noticed that, even like if you go back to the earliest religions, the way they were able to express religion was through art and paintings. And so this idea of art and rebellion going hand in hand throughout all of existence is very interesting to me. And I just wonder, for you guys, like, what do you see in life through art and rebellion? Have you personally used art to rebel? And in what way was that? In what way did that happen? And your experience with it?
But isn't art, by its very definition, a rebellion? Like, it's like, just taking on being an artist is rebelling, because you're kind of forgoing the typical day job, the typical 9 to 5, the typical everything, like how people view you, what's your job, what's the word, career, what's your career? You can't really answer any of those questions. You can't really, and in a lot of cases, relationships as well. You have to put, it's strenuous because you're not always present, and you're not fitting into the day-to-day pattern of life. 9 to 5, you go home, you have your dinner, and then you watch some TV, and you get up and go to work the next day, and rinse and repeat, and that falls into the pattern of loads of other people's lives. So it's easier. With the very fact that you're not fitting into that, is completely rebelling against that. And people have come to LA and they're just completely rebelling against, they just completely, like, as, from a different country, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're completely forgoing a whole path that's been laid out.
Status quo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's so true. I have actually a artistic description of rebellion in another book. Can you tell I'm a nerd yet?
Yeah.
You just hide all your books, do you?
What's that?
You're just hiding all your books, aren't you?
They're at my house.
They're just right here.
They're at my house.
You can see your hand into Boyd's camera.
They're right here. There's a bookshelf. Okay. You guys can't see this on the podcast, but if you watch the podcast, you'll see it. There's a bookshelf. Do you see it? There's all my junk. And then I have loads of books under the guest bed because there's no more room for bookshelves. Anyway, this book is called The Muse Is In, and it's by Jill Badonsky, who is the creator of the coaching program that I got certified in, which is Kaizen Muse Creativity Coaching. And it has really cool stuff in here because it's all about, like, basically everything we're talking about and more. But I like her description. It's right along the lines of what we're talking about. And she says, rebellion comes naturally to creative souls in their quest to defy the norm and discover original ways to do things. So it's just going against the grain, like in every way, like Yelpy said.
I'd say it's a byproduct almost, isn't it?
The resistance? Or, I mean, the rebellion?
Yeah, it's like a byproduct of just being an artist, really.
Yeah, it's a component, I would say, maybe. Yeah, like just something I hesitate to say byproduct because I feel like it's a driving force based on, it's almost like it's an active thing inside me that I'm constantly. This is why earlier I was like, I just like to argue. It's not, it's because I want to rebel against whatever is put on the table so that I can look at it in a way that's different. Even if I'm wrong or if I find myself back on the other side, I just want to tear it apart so that I know what it's made of so that I can go make something new out of it. It's like that instinct is always there for me in everything. And it took, like discipline not to do it not to, just attack people. You know what I mean? Like it's something I had to learn that's to not make that a combative thing, to make it a thing that is an examination and just a quest for more and how can we do this different and being okay with saying things that don't always sound. It's hard for me to explain myself sometimes because I'm trying to think of things that people haven't done yet. So it's how do you explain something that's never been done? I mean, that is art, right?
Yeah, and I don't necessarily agree that all art is rebellion or rebellious. I do think from my standpoint in life, art is has a very interesting guideline because it is there as a reflection of existence. Whether that existence be to rebel and or to visualize what is beautiful or what is beauty in the current status quo, and so it's just there for me. Art is there as a mirror to reflect reality, and I do think a lot of art is rebellious, and I do think that rebellion is hand in hand with art. And through rebellion, through all history, art has been the biggest part of being able to express what we're rebelling against, being able to understand how we need to gain power from the people with power because we're so powerless. You can, through all walks of oppression that we've had in existence now, the way people dealt with that oppression was through art. And I've never dealt with this, and it's a rarity that I've you get to talk to somebody or listen to somebody that has been so oppressed to the point where they have to use art to maintain the fact that they are a living, breathing human being and they deserve to be in this world. And that's what art does for you. Like when we were going through slavery in the United States of America. That's how a lot of the slaves got through their heartaches, was singing and creating through that to to help them realize that they are still human beings.
It's also heritage.
And so,
yeah,
it's at your darkest moment. What do you turn to when you want to hold on to reality? And art tends to be the thing that people hold on to. And so I find that like rebellion is synonymous with art, but I don't think art is necessarily always synonymous with rebellion.
I don't think rebellion is art. I think rebellion is a trait of an artist, and I think it's a tool, and I think art is a tool. So I don't know that I would synonymously say this is that either. That's if that's what I said, if that's what that came across, that's not what I was saying. I think rebellion is okay. I think rebellion is I think it's a trait of an artist. I think that art can be rebellious. I think art can be lots of things. I think it's a tool in many ways, and that we get to do art. And I think it takes a certain, everyone's creative, but it takes a certain special combination of traits and personalities and tendencies to be an artist, to go out and do that as the thing that drives your heart.
Yeah, kind of like Yelpy was saying, it takes a certain, not even person, I don't know what quality it is, to really go and against the flow and the status quo. And I don't know if anybody's gotten this, but I definitely feel pressure for since I was in school of, you need to get a job, you need to get a job with retirement, you need to get health benefits, you need to plan for your future, like you need to do all these things. And by not choosing that path and being an artist, it's very hard to explain to people really why you choose to do this. It's not because you're lazy or because you're trying to take the easy way out or you just want to play for fun forever. It's a hard path, but I think most artists can relate to the fact that you absolutely need to do it. If you don't do it, you're not being who you are. And there's a piece of you that's not being, that's again, not being celebrated and not living. And to that point, so I feel like there's the inherent rebellion against kind of the societal norm that keeps pushing us. And if you go to the extreme, there's artists out there like just throwing it like Bansky and like, it's not Pussy Riot, is it? Is it Pussy Riot? Is that the name of the band? That, the Russian band that, it is Pussy Riot. I'm a genius. I'm not. But it is Pussy Riot. So these artists like Bansky or Pussy Riot that choose to make these, in their own way, these radical statements, but that affect a mass amount of people, whether you agree with them or not. They got entire countries to talk. And so in that way, art can shake the foundation a little bit. It can shake it. And it can be an impetus for change. So in that way, some of the really great artists were the greatest rebels. Mm-hmm. Little rebels.
It reminds me that, that poem, two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And then he's talking about the ones less traveled upon. Yeah. That's what I feel like my path was, It's exactly that. Mm-hmm. I love I forget who wrote that poem. I can't remember. Was it Keaton? I don't know. I can't remember the rest of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We all just know the typical phrase we always say, the road less traveled part.
In fact, I think that's what the poem is called, isn't it? I don't know. I must look that up.
Perhaps. We'll look it up. Or maybe we'll throw it in the show notes. Who knows? Who knows?
Okay, so my question is, if you're choosing a shirt at the store and it's between small and medium, which one do you veer to? Are you like, I'd rather have a shirt that's a little too small, or are you like, I'd rather have a shirt that's a little too big?
Small, so you can see my nipples.
Small.
Mm-hmm. I was hoping you would say that.
I mean, what are we talking about here? What kind of shirt are we talking about?
This is every shirt. Why do you need to know what kind of shirt it is?
Because I like my V-necks a little tighter, but I like my crew necks a little loose.
All right then. Well,
I think as a rule for women it should be small.
No, No.
Boo!
No. You never know when you're going to go to a Brazilian barbecue place and you're going to feast out, and then that small is going to turn into a stretched out ass medium because you're.
Yes.
Even better. Even better.
I feel like
Nope.
that's
Talk
more of
about
a
Brazilian
pant
barbecue.
situation.
Can we please?
I don't know, man. That it could extend to the shirt.
It could.
If you
Let's talk
stomach-
about Brazilian barbecue.
Christina, small or medium?
Small.
Small?
Yeah.
Going tighter. Okay.
Yeah.
All day, every day.
Tight like a tiger.
I'll just. Kyle?
Look,
Oh, it was medium. I would go larger.
Oh, right.
I would definitely go
Brazilian
for
barbecue.
the barbecue option.
Obviously.
The
Yeah.
I know her at Fogo de Chao.
I never know when, could be
Listen.
Tuesday at 2:30. Need a snack and just
a
turn
snack.
to dinner.
Smash some meat.
Oh my god.
Listen, if you guys need reservations at Fogo de Chao, Kyle, she'll hook you up. She knows everybody.
They do know me in Texas at this one Brazilian barbecue place. I can't hook anybody up there because they know who I am because I brought them so much business and I definitely threw down one night.
They know her as Kyle the squirrel.
Yeah, that's named Kyle.
Kyle the squirrel.
Yeah,
She's a wily
like
one.
pictures.
She wears a medium shirt but likes her meat raw. Kyle.
Oh my god. People are ordering the squirrel. Named after
The
Kyle.
squirrel feast.
I'll take the squirrel feast.
Please,
We're just gonna
please.
pack it away.
Part of me is
Later.
really honored. The other part of me is like, you fucking cannibals.
How dare you eat me?
How dare you? How dare you?
Ugh.
Well, thanks, guys. This was a nice time on Permission to Play podcast. If you're listening, please like us on iTunes and write lots and lots of reviews, and definitely share your favorite episode or share the whole damn thing. That would be great. Because that helps us a lot if you do that for us. And what else should they do? We're going to have a YouTube channel with all of these videos.
They should lick their phone.
You should lick your phone.
Well,
and
I
then
say you
stick it up
rebel.
your butt.
You rebel.
Maybe also just write to us and tell you what topics you want to hear. Like,
That'd be
what
great.
would you like to hear for like very interesting weirdos discuss?